Good evening, all you ghouls, goblins, ghosts, and other creatures of the night. I am your host, Bree, and this is my husband,
Posey.
And we need to work on that. And this is the Lurking Hour. I promise that by episode 100, we'll have nailed this intro, and it'll probably get workshopped a million times between now and then. But welcome. We're actually filming this probably the earliest in the evening we ever have, I would say. Which, great for us, great for you, because you're going to get a much better show out of us with the level of energy that I'm feeling in this room right now. This is the Mothman episode, so hold for applause. Hopefully everybody's excited and on the edges of their seat. We're going to do it a little bit differently this evening because I've actually done some kind of fun cursory research on the Mothman. I think we need to fill our listeners in on who that actually is, or what that is, I should say. So got some good research that I've done for you. First, just to kind of set the stage, also don't think Ron completely knows who Mothman is, so it's just a good refresher for everybody. With that being said, Ron, are you ready to figure out who this cryptid is?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so Mothman. Prior to this, I actually thought that Mothman was seen more throughout the South, but it seems like it's been pretty concentrated to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, at least as far as the origins. So who is or what is Mothman? Well, according to Smithsonian Folklife magazine, Mothman is a winged human-shaped figure with glowing red eyes, commonly classed as a cryptid. So what that means, being a cryptid means that it's not scientifically verified. There isn't evidence to substantiate, not enough evidence to substantiate that this creature exists. So we've got a cryptid on our hands. Immediately I see glowing red eyes and I think back to episode 1. Where that guy was talking about seeing glowing red eyes at night when he was out hunting for armadillos in his backyard. Do you remember that?
Yes.
The reason we're actually talking about Mothman today is because we had a listener, shout out you know who you are, tell us that in that first story actually reminded him of Mothman. And as soon as he said it, I was like, duh, like... obviously Mothman. But anyways, so glowing red eyes, that's kind of key. So sightings started around Point Pleasant in West Virginia, intensified around mid-November of 1966. So my dad was just a wee lad at this point. Kind of crazy. 1966. Seems like a lot of stuff happened that year. Everything that I talk about tonight, you'll see citations for in the show notes. So in November of 1966, there were two couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary, I believe it's Mallow. They reported seeing a 6 to 7 foot tall figure near an old National Guard armory and power facility off of Route 62. They were basically heading down the road and they saw this large, dark figure in the roadway and locked eyes with this pair of glowing red eyes. The driver, reacting to this creature who was heading straight towards them, sped off back towards town in reaction. The witnesses in the vehicle, so the rest of the wife and then the couple, said that they saw the figure rise straight up, sort of like a helicopter would lift, and then it glided after them, keeping pace with the car even at super high speeds. And they said that they made it up to 100 miles per hour trying to get away from this thing and back to the town. So they also made a comment that he wasn't a very good runner. So I guess he ran after them and then took off. Not a good runner, great flyer. Word gets out. Roger and Linda and Steve and Mary, they start telling their friends what they saw. And anxiety spikes in the town. People are freaked out by this retelling of this creature, and locals are out with rifles for several nights following, thinking rather than torches and pitchforks, we're going to get this thing with a rifle. Rumors start to spread at this point of figures chasing cars. and even actually going after pets. In the same month, I believe this was the night before that Route 62 report, a dog also went missing. And I'm not sure if the two couples had never reported seeing that creature, if we would ever have heard this story. But Newell Partridge said that his German Shepherd bolted towards 2 red lights by the woods, and he never returned. He went into the woods looking for the dog, and later only found tracks that were going in circles and then vanished, sort of as if the dog was like lifted up and taken away. Shortly after, there was also this phenomenon that kind of coincides with Mothman called the Men in Black. And this isn't localized just to this town in West Virginia. There were Men in Black sightings all over the United States, I think, during this time period, which I believe is what inspired the actual movies, Men in Black. So there was a reporter at the time named Mary Hyre. She worked for the Athens Messenger, and she was describing unsettling visits from a man in a black suit with heavy glasses that she said were hiding, or I guess covering up, very odd looking eyes. This man visited her one late night when she was working at her office, started asking her, like, why are you reporting on the Mothman? Like, what, like, basically, like, asking her, like, what are you getting out of writing these stories? And every single time she would say something, he would, like, get closer and closer, to the point where she was actually, like, very uncomfortable by his presence. She calls in a colleague and is like, hey, like, just trying to get somebody else in the room so that she's not so uncomfortable with this guy who's, like, getting freakishly close to her. She notices, as she's taking a phone call and this guy's still in the room, that this man is, like, picking up a ballpoint pen and, like, is fixated on it. Like, it's so interesting to him. When I read this, it made me think that maybe he was, like, in awe of the ballpoint pen, or, like, had never seen one before. It was kind of a weird reaction. Around the same time, there were other residents of the area saying that there were mysterious inspectors, I guess, if you will, who were arriving unannounced to their homes, claiming to be utility workers. So they'd say, hey, I'm here with the water or power company. I need to get down to your basement to read your meter. They'd go down to the basement to read the meter, and then when the homeowner went to go and check on them after the utility worker had disappeared for quite some time, they'd go down there and then the person would have been totally vanished.
I'm not letting any man in the basement. I don't care who they work for.
The niece of that same reporter, Mary Hyre, Connie Carpenter, she was driving past the Mason County Golf Course on Route 62, so same road, and she saw a gray figure, what she described as a gray figure that opened 10-foot wings and swooped toward her car before veering off. She couldn't shake the image of its red eyes, so it actually got close enough to her that she could see the face of this thing, and she said it was horrific. And afterwards, she actually developed a painful eye condition called Cleig conjunctivitis, which apparently is an eye condition that you only get from having, like, long exposure to UV rays. So I'm just thinking, like, how do you even get that, like, staring at the sun?
Crazy.
So soon after she reported, she was actually visited by a man in a black car who waved her down as if he wanted to, like, I don't know, ask her directions or something. She got close enough to the car. The guy tried to pull her in, tore her top in the process. She took off, ran home. When she gets home, she gets a threatening note slipped underneath the door, which I'm kind of like, how does nobody catch the person that slipped the note under the door? But the note apparently said, like, I can get you yet, girl. People are wondering, during this time period, you've got the Men in Black, you've got Mothman. People are wondering, like, are they tied together? Is Mothman from the pits of hell, or is he from sort of outer space? Like, is he an alien? Is this actually just an extraterrestrial that we're dealing with? Then, the following year, same town, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, during evening rush hour, the Silver Bridge collapsed, killing 46 people. Investigators at the time attributed the collapse to a failure of a critical eye bar component that associated with cracking and metal fatigue. And some locals linked the tragedy to the Mothman sightings. interpreting the creature as like some sort of possible omen, which I thought was interesting. Like, it's a warning of disaster about to strike. This is where I think it gets even more interesting, because it's like, okay, is Mothman international? Beyond West Virginia, which is, I thought these stories were kind of localized to, there's the story of the Freiburg Shrieker. So in Freiburg, Germany, shout out Freiburg, Germany, Ron's been there.
Shout out Freiburg.
Miners reported a red-eyed Mothman-like figure at a mine entrance. After the creature uttered like a terrifying wail, they turned on their heels and they took off. And about an hour later, the mine actually collapsed. The tale kind of persists as a popular story of disaster being averted. So like Mothman scared them away from the mine to save them from imminent doom. So that's the backstory on Mothman. And all of this lore, you guys can see it for yourself. I use two sources, the Smithsonian Folklife magazine, and then also Aaron Posey at 1428 Ohm. And I'll link the full citations in the notes. Anyway, so that's your like mini history lesson on Mothman, who he is, where he's from, what he's into, what he likes to do on the weekends. Apparently steal pets, fly at your windshield, which I think is kind of interesting, because like, is he just going after cars because it's like a moth drawn to a flame, you know, in the middle of the night, you've got these big headlights and the moth is just doing what it's supposed to do? I don't know. Interesting, huh?
Crazy. All right, so this leads into the first story, which pretty much is identical to what Bree just talked about. It's par for the course for what she said, and of course, this encounter is from Reddit. Username FreeCommunity2981. My parents describe an eerie encounter they had while traveling down a back road. As they were driving, they saw something crouching down on the side of the road looking towards the ground from about 75 to 100 yards away. It appeared to be about the size of a wild boar. But as they approached at 55 miles an hour, it looked towards them, stood up, appearing to be human-like, 4 to 5 foot, but then reached upward with its huge wings and flapped them down. He flew upward in one big swoop and disappeared into the bright amber yellowish flash of light. As they passed by the spot where he had disappeared from, there was a heat haze lingering in the flash that had been possibly some sort of lingering light. They did not mention red eyes, but were both very freaked out and have the exact same description. I saw an episode on Hulu recently where there was a guy who investigated sightings like this, but can't remember what the show was. So that's the first story.
So no glowing red eyes, which I think is like kind of...
No, he didn't say they weren't glowing red eyes. He said they did not mention.
Oh, okay, so maybe he did have red eyes, he just didn't notice.
I mean, at 75 feet away, I mean, I feel like, the red eye thing is kind of... And if they had lights on them, it's kind of like one of these things where you wouldn't be able to see it regardless.
I mean, I could see that. Unfortunately, they don't mention like if anything crazy happened afterwards.
No, and they also didn't mention where exactly this was, so...
What is a heat haze? Can you explain that to me? Do we know what that is?
I'm not sure what he's referencing. I mean, I'm assuming like almost like hot asphalt after a rain.
Like it's kind of misty.
I mean, not misty. It just has like there's a haze in the air.
Oh, like when you see the heat waves off the pavement kind of thing? And so the flash of light is... He like took off and there was a flash of light.
Yeah, that part, I mean, he's not very descriptive on, but basically just saying one flap of the wings into the sky. He was 5 foot tall and disappeared into this bright amber / yellowish flash. I mean, it's par for the course. It fits everything anyone's...
Yeah, he just left it off.
Any of the research he did there. And both of his parents, not just one person, they both had the same the same exact story, the same exact account. So, I mean, it's not just one person, it was two people. So that's kind of why I like this story. It's not just a single person's perspective.
Yeah. I will say that what's interesting is that they say like all these sightings of Mothman seem to kind of like reach like a peak after these 1966 sightings. Like there's almost like a hysteria around it, and it makes me wonder like how many of these accounts are actually true and how many of these are just people like, keeping up the ghost stories, because it is kind of cryptids. I feel like are like almost like modern ghost stories in a sense, you know.
Yeah, it's weird after the 60s it just stopped. But I mean, then again, maybe people aren't talking about it. Maybe they feel out of place talking about it. But I'm sure if you talk to these people from the 60s, they can still give you the account they had. I mean, usually these type of events are burned into your brain for your lifetime.
I will say that people said that they've seen him as recent, I think, as 2022. There was some sightings people were talking about in Chicago. There's also an image on the internet of like what looks very much so like a Mothman face in a window that some people are saying is doctored. I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. It doesn't look like AI to me, but it could just be really great Photoshop at the same time. It almost looks like, like a fox bat, though. Like the face of a fox bat, but just bigger. I don't know.
I just saw something when I was going through there. There was some sort of sighting in Chicago, and that was recent, like 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's where this one was too, was Chicago.
Could be the same one.
Mothman strikes again. What I think is crazy, like, so like when I was doing this research too, like I just kept getting all these stories that were popping up about like international, where like even in Japan they were saying they saw a Mothman like figure prior to some sort of disaster occurring. So it's like, is the Mothman lore just like that powerful that it's just spanned continents and countries? Or is there some real truth to it? Who knows? Or is it like a psychological thing? Like, do we manifest this thing in our heads in anticipation of something awful happening? Like, is that like just our subconscious picking up on some sort of negative vibes in our future?
I can't call it.
There's just like a lot of ways you think you can slice it.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my story?
Yes.
All right. This comes from username Christopher Kerr. That's it's spelled Christopher C and then CYR. I think that's how you say it. So I was in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I have been. I don't think you've ever been there.
No, I've never been to Flagstaff.
I was in Flagstaff, Arizona in July of 2020, looking to spend the night in my fifth wheel trailer near Lake Mary, which is about 5 miles outside of Flagstaff. I had just driven up from Phoenix. It was about 10 p.m. and I was tired and wanted to sleep and get up the next day and find the spot in the national forest where I would stay for the next couple months. I pulled into a side road near Lake Mary and was going to sleep in my fifth wheel. I still connected to my truck. It was pitch dark with no lights anywhere and tall pine trees all around me. I get out of my truck and head towards the door of my fifth wheel when I see these two glowing red lights up 20 to 30 feet in the pine trees. I had no idea what I was looking at, so I just kept staring at it. I thought maybe they were those red airplane warning lights, but I concluded that they definitely weren't and were a lot closer than I originally thought. They seemed like eyes and were slightly swaying back and forth. I got the intense feeling like I was being watched and got so spooked that I decided to get the heck out of there and ended up parking and sleeping in a Walmart parking lot, because you'll always be safe from Mothman in the Walmart parking lot.
That's where I go to get away from Mothman. It's the Walmart parking lot. He just doesn't go there.
I had never heard of the Mothman at that time. Okay, so that's probably even worse. Like, I actually don't know if it's worse. Maybe it's better because you're like, ignorance is bliss. Years later, I heard about it, and the red glowing eyes matched what I saw that night. I also read of other sightings of the Mothman in the Flagstaff area. I'm pretty sure that it was the Mothman. There are literally hundreds of Mothman sightings and stories. There's a reply to that original post from someone called King ASILAS. I don't know how to say that. They said, your reply triggered a memory from when I was a teenager. I also saw a pair of red eyes in a tree in my yard in South Florida. It even blinked at me. I ran inside the house and told my family, and they said there was a specific kind of insect that resembled that. But in the years before and ever since, I never saw it again. So I don't think it was a bug.
There is no bug in Florida, even though there's hundreds of creepy critters that would have eyes large enough to look like Mothman, but small enough to be a bug. It's physically impossible. I know.
I can't think of anything that would like light up like that either. I mean, we don't even have... Now, that's not to say that there aren't lightning bugs in Florida, because somebody just told me that in Bryceville, they see fireflies. So I think maybe we just don't have the fireflies here necessarily.
It's still not red. So, I mean...
No, so I'm saying, like, I can't think of anything else that glows red.
There's no insect that's large enough to have red eyes that are large enough to be Mothman.
Or to even look like it would be eyes.
It's just too much. People are crazy.
I think that's just your parents trying to make sure you...
Yeah, it's someone just being lazy because they don't want to get off the couch. Period. End of story.
Or trying to get the kid to not freak out. Interesting, though, that like it spans South Florida.
Was this story in South Florida?
That's the second reply was where they're saying that they saw the bug.
But did he say it was South Florida?
Yeah, it said my yard in South Florida.
Okay. Shout out South Florida. All right. I'm more of a fan of this second story because there's some serious detail. It's a short story, but pretty epic. All right. So this account is from Puzzlehead Disc 2423. Me and two other buddies went deer hunting on a farm in Southwest Virginia. The road leads to a gravel road outside of the city limits, so I would say it's pretty rural. On that gravel road before first light, I saw a lengthy black mass, but I'm convinced it was Mothman. I did not see the famous red eyes, just a tall creature, roughly 6 foot tall, fly above the truck just where I could see in the windshield. I would estimate the wingspan of this at least 6 or 7 feet. As it flew, it never flapped its wings once. It was like gliding, but also defying gravity. I got to see it for about 10 seconds before it vanished off into the darkness. At first, I thought I was hallucinating or just seeing things. Until I said, did y'all see that too? And one of my buddies also saw it. The driver did not, though. Nothing else weird happened that day, but it was enough to freak us all the hell out. It's been a year since it's happened, and I can still not wrap my head around it. So another account, 2 people, granted there were 3 that were there, but 2 people for sure saw it. The one who didn't see it was driving, so I mean maybe he was focused on more important things like the road. Gave you like the approximate sizes. You're kind of back to the whole one flap thing. He just like puts his wings out, wha-bam, he's flying. And he's saying the wingspan was 6 or 7 feet. So it's a pretty big individual or thing.
It's just kind of crazy to me that everybody is seeing these things while driving.
I don't think it's because you cover more ground. So like you can like catch up to something like that. Maybe not catch it off guard, but basically see it before it takes off. Because obviously these accounts are like 10 seconds long. So if you were like walking, you would just spook it or you wouldn't have it in close proximity before it was just disappeared.
I think my next question for you is what would you do if Mothman is flying at your windshield?
Well, in this case, they're headed for a deer hunt, so I guess I'm going to blast them because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's going to do, and I'm sure I have something with,
We're going to kill the cryptid?
No, we're going to make sure it doesn't stop. I don't want it anywhere close to me. Keep on going.
Oh, like a warning shot. We're going to fire off some warning rounds.
No, I'm going to no. The warning shots are going to be going towards him. Now, whether he can do his thing in one flap around him with his 6 to 7 foot wingspan, that's on him.
Okay. So you're with the crowd with the pitchforks.
If I was in the situation, I was going deer hunting, so clearly I have a weapon. Other people didn't have weapons. Like in the first story, they were just driving, In that case, I'm getting the hell out of there.
Like, taking off.
Yeah, I'm not stopping. I mean, like, let's look at this heat signature or this weird thing around it. And no, we saw it. I'm done. We're getting out of here.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's what I would do too. I mean, well, first of all, I think I'd be kind of frozen in place. That would be the first thing that happens. I'm just frozen in terror, I think. Because, you just don't even know what you're looking at. I can't even imagine a 7 foot tall moth-like figure. Like, what are you looking at? What are we doing here?
It's crazy.
So what do you think about the fact that after these Mothman encounters happened, everybody was seeing the Men in Black? Do you think that was like the government's way of trying to cover up for this thing? Or like get a handle on it? Like, do you think Mothman's from outer space? Or do you think he's homegrown?
I don't think it's from outer space. I think the whole Flash thing, I think that's like just made up in their heads. I think that it's just something we don't know what it is. No different than Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Yeti or whatever. I think like just something we don't know yet.
Is Bigfoot an alien?
No.
You think he's homegrown?
Yeah. I think it's the missing link between humans and mammals or something that survived.
That's interesting. I was just telling everyone the other day that there were several species of humans at one point outside of Homo sapiens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's just the in-between, because the way he walks and his gait and everything else, it just suggests human-like. And the Mothman, too. I mean, if it was not a man, why are they calling it a Mothman? Or wouldn't they call it the moth thing?
Yeah, I'm like imagining him with like a full human body.
Yeah.
But like no one mentions like if he's like covered in like, you know how moths have like
Fuzz.
fuzz. Is he covered in fuzz or is it like a naked human body with moth wings and a moth head?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go in a deep description about him being naked.
In the nude. It was Mothman in the nude.
Yeah. I think he's just covered in fur. He's a furry man.
Well, and some people say he's black, other people say he's gray, other people say he's brown. So like I feel like there's some mixed info there. But maybe it could also depend on the lighting.
User M Zan Zant. The letter M, Zanzant. It says Mothman sighting stories. Hi everyone. I'm making a podcast, mostly for school, as I am a professional media major, but I'd love to continue the podcast and keep it going. Right now I'm working on an episode of Mothman and was wondering if anyone had any personal possible Mothman sightings they'd like to share. Someone right below that's what I was getting to, says you're going to have to source Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and fully immerse yourself. You may want to read up on Native American chief Cornstalk too. So Native American.
I did some research about this. And Cornstalk did come up in my research. Apparently he was murdered.
So now I can get behind that. So maybe it's not a person, it's a spirit of some sort.
Well, no, that's not the whole thing. So Cornstalk, is it Cornstalk?
Yeah, Cornstalk.
Cornstalk gets murdered by someone.
Not only just a somebody, he's a chief, so he's a somebody.
Well, him and his young son get murdered, and as he's dying, he apparently places a curse upon the land. So people are saying, is Mothman a part of this curse, or what? But apparently he's like wrongfully murdered with his young son, and with his dying breaths, he places a curse upon the land.
And a lot of people are saying, like, why does he only appear before certain events? So that's another kind of caveat people are saying. Interesting. Okay, so I scrolled down here a little bit, and that same user said I wanted to put the lore, but was disallowed due to the character length and joy. So he commented, and he said, we were abruptly woken by a blood-curdling screech, a piercing, tormented sound, like a howling of a dark wind through a castle rampart long forgotten by time. Wow, that's a script. Followed by scuffling of what sounded like hoofs on sounding like hoofs on the roof overhead, a fluttering of wings, so it's not just one flap, that could only be likened to a bedsheet hanging on the line catching the wind. I went outside with a flashlight. There was a weird electricity in the air that caused all my hair on my arms to stand up. Trying to steady my own hand and calm my thoughts, I pan shakingly upwards to the garage roof from which the scream came, and I seen this face. I dropped the flashlight and ran. In the morning, we looked at the garage. This nest literally formed overnight. A Mothman visited and left the eerie calling card in the form of hornet's nest around my garage lights.
That's terrifying. I don't like that idea that he's left this behind as like an omen.
Yeah, it's wild.
I don't love that.
Yeah, it's definitely not just to the U.S. This one's saying the Russia.
Yeah, I saw somebody say something about Chernobyl.
Another one, West Virginia. Crazy.
What?
Anyone know if Mothman was spotted before the Key Bridge fell?
Oh gosh, that's crazy.
That is wild.
They're saying that they saw him before the Silver Bridge collapsed.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting if there were Mothman sightings before the Baltimore Bridge.
Oh man, I got to go down these comments now because someone says, Local chatter is that there were a few sightings in the past week before the bridge.
No way. That's crazy. So maybe he's just an omen. I mean, it would be nice if Mothman could do a better job of warning people versus just showing up and saying, interpret that.
So Chief Cornstalk, I guess, had another name. Hoko Leskawa.
Yeah, I'm sure he had an actual name because Cornstalk.
And then it says Chief Cornstalk. So he actually, that's his actual name. Everyone's saying, like, interesting enough, Maryland's right next to West Virginia.
Yeah, right next to it.
Do.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, what's keeping Mothman in one state?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, so.
If he can fly. If he can fly speeds upwards of 100 miles an hour per some accounts, I think he can make it to Baltimore.
Well, it says there are a lot of solid answers from the responses, but it's nice to know that another was wondering the same thing. It's like other people, wasn't just one was like, yeah, this is crazy.
Wonder if
Who saw Mothman before the bridge fell? I can't read this, but I'm going to show Bree. Put the last one there.
People are insane.
Yeah. I wish I could read that. All I can say is go to Reddit, find this guy that I just told you about, scroll to the bottom.
Yeah, people are wild.
Yeah, people are wild. Anyways.
What's your take on the Men in Black? Why are they showing up after the Mothman encounters? What are they up to?
I think one person had someone show up, and probably they're on some sort of watch list, and they don't tell you that. So I think that's a bunch of just lore. I don't think that's really what's going down.
You don't think they actually were visited by Maryland?
No, absolutely not.
But there were Men in Black sightings across the U.S. Because people are even saying that they saw the Men in Black like around where alien sightings were.
Yeah, so is it Mothman or is it alien sighting?
Well, that's what they're saying. Is Mothman an alien?
No.
No?
No.
You're rolling with your homie Mothman, and he's not an alien.
No. He's a spirit, apparently, from this cornstalk guy.
No, if you read the lore, it's not his spirit. There's like some curse that he put on the land.
Okay, the curse the guy left, which is some sort of bad omen / spirit. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
But no one said that he's hurt anybody yet. That's the only thing, though. Like, with the dog getting taken, like, was that an alien abduction?
No,
Mothman was like, you think Mothman's eating dogs?
Yes, why would he throw the collar off? Or just leave the footprints?
No, he didn't take the collar wasn't there. It was just...
There was only footprints left.
Why is he eating the dog?
They're hungry.
Moths don't eat. Are there any carnivorous moths? Hold on. Let's hit the Goog. Oh, yes, there are carnivorous moths, according to Google, though they are not the majority. While most moths and their caterpillars primarily consume plants, some species, particularly in their larval stage, are predators or parasites of other insects. Okay, but that's not to say that they'll eat dogs, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, so final verdict. Mothman is a local, at least to this planet.
Mothman was put here by the man's curse. That's where I'm at.
And the Men in Black, though there are thousands of accounts, are not real.
No, there's probably a few accounts that are real. Goodness gracious.
You don't believe in the Men in Black?
I don't believe there was 10,000 Men in Black all over the United States. All of a sudden, they're all playing with pens, blah, 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 blah.
Well, I'm just saying, though, the government hid the aliens from us.
That has nothing to do with Mothman or the Men in Black. Nothing.
How do you know that the Men in Black don't have anything to do with aliens?
How do you know the CIA doesn't have nothing to do with it? How do you know they all dress in black?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it was...
Okay, then. So is it the Men in Black or is it the three-letter agencies from the government?
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe that was.
Maybe it wasn't.
I'm just saying.
I'm just telling.
Could have been.
Could have not been.
All right. If you're listening to this, weigh in the comments on who you think the Men in Black were. What do you think their significance were to Mothman? Because I don't think Ron and I are going to settle this debate tonight.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree. Thanks again.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.
Bye-bye now.